Welcome to Blog of the Net Football Podcast, World Cup edition. It's time to preview the semi-finals. Ooh, it's getting down to it now, isn't it? Business end of the tournament, and England are very much there. So we're going to talk about England against Norway. We'll talk about Spain, and we'll talk about France, and we'll talk about Argentina, and anything else that's kind of going on still in this tournament. We'll cover it as we preview the Final Four. Okay, let's start with England against Norway. Was it a nervy affair? I've got to say, I was a little overconfident and I wasn't worried enough during the game. Is it a confidence thing? Is it an arrogance thing? I'm not sure what was going on. I felt we'd win the game prior, and even during, I didn't sort of have enough worry. I really always felt we were going to get through this, whether we just have the quality, the better players. Maybe just getting used to England getting to those final stages of tournaments now. I'm not sure, but it was a difficult game. Clearly, extra time needed and unconvincing. Tuchel spoken about him not being completely happy with the performance, and I think fans should unclench a bit themselves. It's quarterfinals are difficult. Norway was a difficult game. They'd beaten Brazil. And we came through it. It's not supposed to be a perfect performance at this point. We can talk about the other teams left in this tournament and how they've not always been perfect, except France. And it is just about getting through at this point. And however we get through the next one, if we can get through, it doesn't really matter. I realise a convincing performance gives you more hope for the future games, but it can't always be like that. We dominated early without really sort of troubling Norway's goal. We had a lot of the ball, and there was a point there where I thought, are Norway going to sit in and do the low block thing? They certainly were happy to do that in the early stages before the hydration break. And England was sloppy before the goal. Kane goes down too easily. It's not a foul. Konsa doesn't get out to Sheldrup to stop the cross. And it is a cross. It's a fluke goal. It's a Ronaldinho out from the other side. And Pickford doesn't cover himself in glory, clearly. I've gone and spoken in high praise about Jordan Pickford. And I'm sure people are loving to push back when that goal went in. But for me, it is a freak. He pulls his arm away slightly, sure, but the guy means to cross it. And it ends up coming off, his toe or whatever it is, and flies towards that back post and in off the post. There's a few mistakes, and like I said, Pickford won't be happy, but it was a poor one to concede, and it does feel like England have had a few of those in this tournament, but across six games, what do you expect? The other big moment, I guess, for Norway in that first half was Sorloth not putting in Haaland when they had a 2v1. He takes that extra touch, and when he does, I actually think John Stones does superbly well to make sure that you either got to go past me here, or look to drive and shoot, or you've now got to play the ball probably a bit behind Haaland, and it's not a great way of putting him in. He just positions himself very, very well. I've not seen sort of too much on that and him given enough credit, I don't think. And I think Gahey and Stones in general, you wouldn't say that they had stellar games in as much as they were there to everything and doing superbly in every single duel or anything like that. But if Erling Haaland is given one chance, and it wasn't a big chance, you've got to say that your centre-backs are probably doing a pretty good job. And again, I think not enough credit given to the pair of them. So the England goal comes from Sir Jude of Bellingham. What more can we say about this guy? Oh God. There's first of all, to clear up, there's the controversy about whether the ball hit the camera wire. I've seen people online saying that clearly it hits the wire. I've not seen an angle where it absolutely certainly does. I don't think. Maybe it hits it. Maybe it changes the trajectory. I'm not sure there's a good angle that definitely shows me that it does. And I I think sort of probably a bit too much made of it. FIFA have come out and said that the snickometer, that sensor in the ball thing, didn't get triggered, and that, nothing was picked up there. The problem with FIFA is they've just become too untrustworthy. No one wants to believe what they're saying, and why would you believe what they're saying about any of these things at the moment, particularly after what's happened with Balogun and particularly with other refereeing incidents during the tournament? I don't blame anyone for looking and saying, well, you're probably just covering yourselves. Either way, I don't think... No Norway player complained about it at the time. They only complained after the goal went in, and really we've got to give credit to what England and what Bellingham does. Gordon plays a good square pass to the edge of the box, but Bellingham, it's like playground stuff. He just picks up the ball and says, just give me the ball. Just give me the ball, I can do this. And the drive into the box and finish is just... I was out of my seat, just in almost disbelief at how someone's sort of doing this at that level and able to just grab the game by the scruff of the neck and do that. He's one of just 3 Englishmen to score 6 goals at a World Cup, Kane and Gary Lineker. Those others, and only Lineker and Kane, have scored more than his 7 goals at World Cups in total. Of course, Bellingham got one at the 2022 World Cup as well. Only Kylian Mbappe and Pele have scored more goals before turning the age of 24. Bellingham, of course, has only just turned 23 at this tournament. He's the first player to score a brace in consecutive World Cup knockout games since Diego Maradona in 1986. No one has scored a brace in consecutive games since then. He's just a bit of a freak of nature. I mean that in the nicest and best possible way. He's a one of one. I really, really, truly think this. I can't think of now... Well, I can think of comparisons, but really, who else has had a better individual tournament performance other than Jude Bellingham for England? You look at Wayne Rooney at Euro 2024. Excuse me, Wayne Rooney at Euro 2004. People talk about Paul Gascoigne at Italia 90. He's way surpassed that. Bellingham's on 6 goals here, and yeah, it's incredible stuff. But we're talking about a guy that was 16 years old, playing 41 games in the Championship, scoring. I think did he get 4 goals, 2 assists that season? He had good contributions, and then just carried on from there. A regular starter for Dortmund at 17, and yeah, we've seen what he can do in terms of scoring goals if he's played in those positions. He's done it for Madrid. Quite a season at Madrid, having had injuries this past season, and had his doubters. Don't we love it? He joins Kane on 6 goals, as mentioned, and it's the first time ever that 2 players from the same nation have scored 6 or more goals at the same World Cup. Quite remarkable. A good pub quiz question. 5 or more goals between 2 players has happened 5 times, including Mbappe and Dembele at this tournament. Dembele, of course, is on 5 goals, Mbappe on 8. So Dembele could equal this one that Kane and Bellingham have done. Ronaldo and Rivaldo in 2002 scored 5 or more each. Uwe Seeler and Gerd Müller from 1970 scored 5 or more each. Vava and Pele in 58. And Sandor Kocic and Nandor Hidegkuti, I've probably mispronounced that one, from Hungary in 1954. So very rare that players are scoring 5 or more together as teammates. Kane and Bellingham, 6 each, and long may it continue. They're going to get more. Oh, they are. Back to the game, though. England made 2 half-time changes. Were they the right ones? I actually think we possibly spent the rest of the game almost correcting those changes, to be honest. Tuchel likes to get in there. He likes to meddle and affect games, and I'm a big fan of this. I think he does really well at changing things when he sees things aren't quite right. Madueke's starting on the right again. That is a huge worry. Look, even if you think that Moller-Wolf would come out at left back and there'd be spaces for Madueke to exploit, it's a worry that at this point Saka's not starting another game. I know he has started, and before the Mexico game I was going, oh, will he, won't he start? And I think people felt, well, he has started games now. We shouldn't be worried about whether Saka's going to start, but it's another one that he hasn't, and I think it is fitness issues. I don't think it's tactical, because we see that even though Madueke's quicker and likes to run in behind more, and I'm hugely for that. I think that is important. Saka's just got better output, and a bit of a worry that he's not started this one. But he came on at half time. He made some impacts. I don't think he was outstanding or anything, but I think he did okay. Eze, of course, came on for Rice. Rice looked, dead on his arse, quite honestly. Even his set pieces were a bit sloppy. I'm not sure why Kobbie Mainoo's not starting. Not a big. I like Kobbie Mainoo. I've not been one that's been crying out for him to start or come on, but this felt like it was one where we could keep that balance a little bit better with Anderson. I thought Anderson had a lot to do when Eze came on, and then Eze, of course, was moved out to the left when Reece James came on for Anthony Gordon. I actually think Anthony Gordon had started to do things. I think he was getting a little bit of joy out on that left-hand side. He's starting to really build momentum, and then the sub took place, and I think we didn't really sort of find our shape until we adjusted again when Jed Spence came on and Rodgers came on as well, and I think we got back into shape a little bit better then, and we're better for it in extra time, and we were lucky with the disallowed goal. I think there's a push from Haaland on Elliot Anderson for sure, but when I first saw that replay, I was a bit worried. And then, of course, it was the first time at this tournament that FIFA have had to invoke the rule where you can give a foul before the corner kick is taken. The ball doesn't have to be in play. We've seen so much of that in the Premier League where players are pushing and shoving and they're getting away with it because the kick hasn't been taken. So I do think it is soft. It is a push from Haaland. You can see that it is, but for me, it's two players still both kind of having a bit of a push and shove, and Elliot Anderson does well to go down and probably win that for us. I think we benefit from Rodgers being positive and taking the shot on, and unfortunately it is an error from Nyland. He parries into danger, and Bellingham is sharp and gets there with the goal. We just didn't take enough shots on goal, I don't think, across the game. 2 first half shots, none in the second half, and 3 in the first half of extra time, 3 in the second half. So I think we were just a bit more positive in extra time. But we were unlucky with the Spence penalty overturn, in my view. This is twice in this tournament where England have had a penalty overturn. I think the one for Kane earlier against Mexico was a penalty, and I think this was as well. Slow motion is never going to do any favours, and I think that if you get your body in front of a defender and they go through the back of you, that's a foul. You do that in midfield, it's a foul. And I think here it's a foul. I do think a precedent may have been set earlier in the tournament. Mbappe kind of doing it against Senegal and Sadio Mane getting away with one. Odd sequence of events in that one. It was nonsense as far as I'm concerned. So I think we're a bit unlucky. You can say he's trying to draw contact, but if you're in my space and you go through the back of me, as I said, I think that's a foul. I do worry that we're going to run out of steam with some of our injuries and players looking a bit tired, and suspensions. Quansah still won't be available for the next one. But at least we haven't picked up any other suspensions. England were the only side that had 4 players potentially available to pick up that second yellow and be suspended for the semi-final, and that didn't happen. So that was good, and positive in that sense. But I am just worried that we're getting a little bit stretched now with our squad, especially, Henderson won't be playing anytime soon, even though he's kitted up and seemingly passing on messages down to the players, because if you're kitted up, you can run up and down that touchline. He's sort of providing a sort of a coaching assistant manager role, which many people thought he was doing anyway. But yeah, seems genius to me that. But don't think he'll be playing any further part, and as I said, I think we're a bit stretched. So 2 more games, whether we reach the final or not. It is 2 more games. You've got that 3rd place game, which would have to be played. So hopefully we're not too stretched, but I do worry. One from friend of the show, Brownie, who pointed out that England have won 16 of their 20 matches that Thomas Tuchel has been in charge of. It's the best win rate of anyone who has ever taken charge of a European nation and managed 10 or more games. Just quite an impressive record, isn't it, really? And he's good at tournament football. We saw it with Chelsea in Champions League in 2021. Hopefully he can get us over the line here. Another one from friend of the show, Chris Goody, who asked, how many times have the top 4 seeds been the semi-finalists at a World Cup? Now, I saw the BBC had produced an article on this, on the top 4 in the world rankings going into the tournament and whether they've made the semi-finals. I've actually done some more work on the top 4 seeds, which in this instance it is the same 4 nations. That is England, Argentina, Spain and France, of course. They were the top 4 seeds going into the tournament as well as the top 4 ranked nations. But they were the top 4 seeds when the draw took place in December, and that's what is crucial here. So I've looked back at each time through across every World Cup, how many times have the 4 seeds made the semi-finals, and before now it is none. There's never even been 3 before. So 2 of the top seeds in 2022, 2014 and 2010 did make the semi-finals. France and Argentina from the last World Cup even made the final, but never have all 4. Something usually always goes wrong. The draw will sometimes, make this happen, and FIFA were very clear before this tournament that they are separating the top 4 seeds for the first time into 4 different sections of the draw. So Spain, France, England and Argentina have avoided each other until the semi-finals, so long as they won their groups. Now, interestingly, there have been other occasions recently where this could have happened. In the 2022 World Cup, Brazil, Belgium, France and Argentina were the seeds at the time of the draw, and they could have avoided each other until the semi-finals. They didn't all win their group. Belgium went out in the group stage. Morocco took their place there, and they would have been separated until the semi-finals. But France met Morocco there. But in 2014, they were also separated until the semi-finals. Spain, Argentina, Colombia and Germany were the seeds. Spain went out in the group anyway, but they would have been separated. Feels like more luck of the draw. As I said, this time FIFA were quite transparent, depending on how you feel about that and how you feel about the seeds being separated. But more often than not, there's always a slip-up. And you can say that there were potential banana skins in this one. France have faced Morocco. Spain have faced Portugal and Belgium along the way. England, you could say Mexico and Norway were banana skins. And of course, Argentina faced the best team at this tournament in the last 32. Cape Verde needed extra time. So there have been banana skins and they've all come through them. And here we are in the final 4 with the best 4 teams. You'd have to say it. Let's move on to England's opponents then for the semi-finals, and let's look at them against Switzerland very briefly. In the end, you'd have to say that Argentina, on balance, probably deserved to go through, but needing extra time and really needing the red card because the momentum completely shifted. We can see it here with this graph about how Switzerland were in the ascendancy. Lots of talk about the hydration breaks and how momentum shifts after those. No doubt Switzerland were on the up before that red card takes place. And Argentina, they're very, very lucky. And there's been a lot of talk about whether they've had decisions go their way at this tournament, and perhaps they have. With this one, it's definitely the correct decision. But Argentina are lucky that the referee gets it so wrong in the first place. Because if he just gives a free kick to Switzerland and doesn't think that Paredes deserves a yellow card, which I think if he just thinks he clips him on the halfway line, it probably doesn't need a yellow card. He steams in and sort of seems to give a yellow card to calm the situation down because there's a little bit of words exchanged between players as the incident happens. But he gives the yellow card to Paredes, and that sets up the overturn and the switch in yellow card. They're calling it mistaken identity. I've talked about that from the Paraguay-USA game early in the tournament about how mistaken identity is not the phraseology that should be used here, but I'm not going to go into that again. But once he gives Paredes the yellow card, it can be switched. If he doesn't give Paredes a yellow card, VAR can't intervene and say, you've got that wrong, you need to switch it over. They can't overturn they can't overturn a foul on the halfway line. So if the referee, in my opinion, does what it looked like, which was give a foul to Switzerland, it did look like he'd clipped him on first view. It's once you see the replays, Embolo clearly dives. It's clear simulation. And once the referee is told to look at that, he has to give Embolo a second yellow card. And it's stupid from him. And he got what he deserved. And yeah, he's devastated. But, he deserved a second yellow, and Switzerland deserved to be down to 10 men. Argentina take advantage. And they have been lucky across this tournament. Their underlying numbers have been perfectly good. They've scored lots of goals. They've conceded a few chances, sure, but they needed extra time against Cape Verde, I'd mentioned. They dominated, but they are lucky with the own goal in extra time. Decisions went their way against Egypt, clearly, and it took until 90 plus 2 minutes for them to get that winner there. Against Switzerland, it's extra time again, and some real quality, along with the red card being important. So Argentina have rode their luck. If England fans think that England have rode their luck, you really want to look at our opponents and see that they have as well. Argentina across the tournament have scored 17 goals from a 12.8 xG. So, in terms of non-penalty, because Argentina, as we know, win lots of penalties, but that's 16 non-penalty goals and a 10.4 non-penalty xG. It's nearly 5.5 goals difference from non-penalties. Of course, if you've got Messi banging hat-tricks and you've got Julian Alvarez scoring the kind of goal he scored against Switzerland from distance, you've got that quality. Clearly there is going to be a disparity between your xG and the number of goals you score. But is it sustainable? Maybe if you've got world-class players, it is. However, that is quite a big distance over 6 games now. So we'll be hoping that they've run out of luck by the time they get to England. England, incidentally, 13 goals scored, 10.9 xG. So, a couple short for England there. From non-penalties, it's 11 non-penalty goals. Came with a couple of penalties and 9.3 non-penalty xG. So again, slightly short of the actual 1.7 disparity there. They've both conceded 6 goals, England and Argentina. England at 4.9 xG, Argentina at 3.4 xG. And they've given up 7 big chances, England to Argentina's 5. So both pretty stingy and both, not too far away from where they should be in terms of the goals conceded. Argentina had 48% possession against Algeria, and that's the only time that they've conceded possession to the opposition. Quite surprising that they did so in that game. And England have dominated possession themselves in every game except for the Mexico game, where they had 33%. So you'd expect both to dominate possession in their games. Who's going to give up possession here? I expect it to be pretty even. Less than 55% for either dominating team. We have also seen Argentina sit and defend very well when they've needed to. They did it at times against Switzerland when Switzerland began to build up some momentum. That is what Argentina were able to do. That is a concern because England have struggled a little bit to dominate and break down teams, I should say, and Argentina will try and break, and that is a concern. It's going to be close. The bookmakers have got England as slight favourites. I would concur and say I agree with that. This is the first time that I'm feeling that we absolutely shouldn't sail through. No disrespect to anyone else. But this is the tough one. If we can get through this, we're really feeling like we can do this. To knock out Argentina's Messi would be quite something, quite incredible. I wanted us to play Brazil in the last round because even though it's not a vintage Brazil team, it would just feel so good, wouldn't it, to knock them out. Okay, prediction. God, I think we're going to need extra time. Argentina seemed to need extra time. We had it in our last game, so I can see that going 120 minutes again. And I think it could be a 1-1 draw. I think we could be going all the way to penalties. Let's hope not. Let's hope we can sneak this in extra time, if not in normal. But to beat Argentina on penalties, that'd be quite dramatic, wouldn't it? Dicing with death here. But I'm worried. I'm worried Argentina go through. But we'll see. I think it could take penalties. I'll be confident. I'll say England are going through. England are going through. All right. There we go. There's my prediction. France and Spain, of course, in the other semi-final. And I would have to say we're on the better side of the draw. I'd rather face Argentina now and have a chance of being in the World Cup final. Yeah, you've got to beat everyone. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you face and when you face them. To me, it does. I'd rather be in the World Cup final and experience that. I've never experienced it. No one has since 1966. So, not saying that it's an easy game, but France and Spain are certainly two standout teams. Against Morocco, the French utterly dominated. 6 big chances to 0. 12 shots inside Morocco's box to 1. Morocco had 52% possession, which is fascinating, really, but they just did not do enough. I thought the game would be slightly closer. I think I predicted a 2-1 win for France, and I certainly expected that Paraguay at least would push towards the end, even if France could get themselves ahead. But their first shot, Morocco, was in injury time of the first half, and it was a free kick from Hakimi. They just didn't threaten. They just didn't do enough, and France pretty comfortable in the end, you'd have to say. And yeah, they look a worry. I would say that you don't often see a team dominate start to finish of a tournament. You don't see a team be the favourites and go all the way start to finish. Even Brazil in 2002, I know they won all of their games. They were certainly not the favourites for that tournament going in. There were problems. You can look at their team on paper and think that they would be the favourites. They were not. They had problems going in with Ronaldo not being fit and etc. etc. So you can say that about France, that maybe, just maybe, they can't carry on that. And we'll come on to that in a minute, particularly with Spain. But let's look at Spain in the Belgian game. Again, a game that they dominated and certainly deserved to go through. A 2-1 win, 1.96 XG to 0.34 in Spain's favour. So about the 2-1 that we got. Belgium had just 2 first half shots, and it was De Ketelaere that actually scored during first half. Fabian Ruiz's first start since the opening game where they drew with Cape Verde, and he scored in that first half. Interesting that Pedri didn't start. He came on for him at 55 minutes. I wonder what they'll do in the France game. And of course, it's a Sene Lemon's error for Mikel Moreno to score the winner. Very similar to what England did, really. Nico Williams is yet to start as well. I talked in the previous podcast about Spain's key players not quite getting going yet. Lamine Yamal, he has started the last few games. His underlying numbers are quite positive. He had the most touches in the box against Belgium with 12. He had the most shots in the game with 6, but he's still not got that sort of end product to sort of really get going. And you would think Spain need Williams and Yamal to really do what they need to do to get past France. Dani Olmo, again, not quite having the impact that he had at Euro 2024. He was coming off the bench quite a bit at that tournament. I think he chipped in with 3 goals and a couple of assists. And I think it's just the 1 assist at this tournament. So not quite having the impact, but now would be the time to do it. Spain have been efficiently boring. It is quite tournament football. They Had a little bit of that of them at Euro 2024, and I think retrospectively people think that they, were really exciting in that tournament. They often were not. They've only conceded 1 goal, and that's, how you can explain that they've been ruthlessly efficient. 1.83 xG conceded across the tournament, and they've only been involved in 12 total goals in all of their games, for or against. So I think Spain just have the ability to really shut a game down. You can't overlook the fact that they played Portugal, and whatever we say about who's playing centre forward for Portugal, they're a very, very good team. And Spain kept it very, very tight in that one. France have only conceded twice themselves, a 3.83 xG against, and but France 27 big chances created, which is 2 more than England, with the most at the tournament. It's 10 more than Spain. Spain have only created 17 big chances. I say only, but 8 big chances against for France is the most. It's still not a lot, but might it be enough for Spain to find an opening? We shall see. They, of course, faced each other in the Euro 2024 semi-final, and Spain got through that one 2-1. France scored first, and Spain came back to win the game. They hit 2 before half-time, before really shutting up shop, and Spain had 1 shot in the second half of that semi-final against France, where France were really camped in their half. I can see a similar thing here. I backed Spain before this tournament. They have not been that exciting the way that France have. France would be the neutrals' favourite. I think most would say they'd like to see France go all the way that their front four is so exciting. I've talked earlier in the tournament about the way that Olivier Giroud was asked about how Deschamps sets up his teams. Really, really organised and in a good defensive unit from the back 6 or the back 7, and then that front 4 kind of allowed to go and express themselves and do what they need to do. It's about whether Spain can stop that and keep them out. And I'm going to stick with Spain from my pre-tournament prediction and say that they are the team to stop France. I think that France's midfield could be overrun, and I think Spain could nick a result here. I'm going to say 1-0. I'm going to say that they're going to be the only team to keep France at bay. Watch this be a 4-3 thriller. But I just think Spain could keep them out. If they can't, then it's a worry, especially if England are able to get through, because France do look devastating. But I think this could be a more boring semi-final than it maybe initially looks. We'll see. It's exciting times. It's the final 4 to go. And let's hope that England can make this. That is my phone going. Someone is ringing me. So that is the end of the podcast. I'm dialing out. Enjoy yourselves and goodbye.
What is this?
How do you even get in?
Let myself in.
All right.
How long are you going to have it for?
You can have it back if you want it now.
Damn right I can. I need to speak to the manager.
I've finished anyway now.
Whatever.
Not getting that back.